It has always been you.
Take me away with you.
Your Highness, the maid who used to serve your private chambers has resigned. The words reached Prince Alexander less than an hour before his royal wedding. For a moment, his hands froze on the gold buttons of his ceremonial uniform. Then he forced himself to continue. What difference did it make now? In less than an hour, he would marry Princess Isabella of Veronia, a union designed to strengthen an alliance between two kingdoms. Decision had already been made years ago, long before either of them had a choice. And long before he met Lily, the entire kingdom celebrated the wedding. The palace glittered with flowers and crystal chandeliers. Diplomats arrived from every corner of Europe. Newspapers called it the wedding of the decade. Only one person in the palace wished the day would never come. Lily, a palace maid, the woman Prince Alexander had loved for 3 years, and the woman he could never marry, not because he stopped loving her, because the future king did not belong to himself. He belonged to the crown. Years earlier, their friendship had begun in the palace gardens. At first, Alexander enjoyed talking to someone who treated him like a normal person. Lily never cared about titles, never tried to impress him. Never asked for anything. She simply listened. As the years passed, friendship quietly became something deeper, something neither dared name, because both of them knew how the story would end. A prince could not marry a maid. And a maid could not ask a prince to abandon his future. When Alexander's engagement to Princess Isabella was announced, Lily congratulated him with a smile. The entire palace admired her composure. No one knew she spent that night crying alone in a storage room beneath the West Wing. No one knew she stopped accepting every marriage proposal that came her way, because part of her heart still belonged to someone she could never have, and Alexander never knew any of it. On the morning of the wedding, Lily received her final assignment. She was ordered to help prepare the bride. For 2 hours, she adjusted Princess Isabella's veil, arranged her bouquet, and fastened the jewels around her neck. Every movement felt like a knife twisting deeper into her chest. Yet she never complained. She simply smiled, just as she always had. Later, while crossing the palace corridor, Alexander accidentally overheard 2 servants speaking. Poor Lily, I still can't believe she stayed long enough to help prepare the wedding. After loving him all these years. Alexander stopped walking. The world seemed to disappear around him. One servant sighed. She even turned down 3 proposals because she couldn't forget him. And tonight she's leaving the palace forever. Alexander felt his stomach drop. Leaving? Forever? Minutes later, the wedding ceremony began. The cathedral overflowed with nobles, foreign dignitaries, and members of the press. Princess Isabella stood beside him in a magnificent white gown. The archbishop began reading the vows. Everything proceeded exactly as planned. Until Alexander saw movement near the back of the cathedral. Lily. She stood among the servants wearing a simple blue dress, and in her hands was a small travel bag. She wasn't attending the ceremony. She was saying goodbye. As the vows continued, Alexander couldn't stop watching her. Then he noticed something else. Lily slowly removed a silver necklace from around her neck. His breath caught. Instantly. It was the necklace he had given her years ago. The only gift he had ever dared give her. She looked at it for a few seconds, then carefully placed it on an empty chair. As though she was leaving the last piece of him behind. Forever. The archbishop smiled. Do you, Prince Alexander? But Alexander never heard the rest, because Lily had turned toward the cathedral doors, and for the first time, He understood what was about to happen. If she walked out those doors, he would never see her again. Without thinking, Alexander stepped away from the altar. A wave of shocked gasps swept through the cathedral. The archbishop stopped speaking. The orchestra fell silent. Princess Isabella stared at him in disbelief, but Alexander was already walking straight toward Lily. She turned around. When she heard her name, the moment their eyes met, tears appeared in hers. Not dramatic tears, not angry tears, the tears of someone finally letting go. Alexander stopped in front of her. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then he asked quietly, "Were you really going to leave without saying goodbye?" Lily tried to smile, but her voice trembled. What difference would it make? The words hit harder than any accusation. Alexander looked at the travel bag in her hand, then at the necklace resting behind her, and suddenly he saw everything he had refused to see for years. The sacrifices, the heartbreak, the loneliness. While he had been mourning the future he couldn't have, Lily had been living that loss every single day. Alone. Then she whispered this sentence that would haunt him forever. "I never asked you to choose me." And a tear rolled down her cheek. "Because I already knew you wouldn't." Silence swallowed the cathedral. Even the guests looked away, because everyone could hear the pain behind those words. To everyone's surprise, Princess Isabella slowly walked toward them. The future queen stood between them for several seconds. Then she looked at Alexander. And smiled sadly. "You have never looked at me the way you look at her." The cathedral remained completely silent. Isabella lowered her eyes briefly. "And I deserve to be loved, too." For the first time all day, Alexander realized she was as trapped as he was. This wedding was not creating happiness. It was creating 3 miserable lives. 3 months later, the marriage agreement was officially dissolved after lengthy negotiations between both kingdoms. The alliance remained intact through a trade treaty instead. Decision sparked controversy throughout the country. Alexander lost his position as heir to the throne. Many believed he had thrown away everything. Perhaps he had. 1 year later, on a quiet spring afternoon, a small wedding took place in the palace gardens. No reporters. No politicians. No royal obligations. Only family. Friends. And the woman he had almost lost forever. As Lily walked toward him, beneath the blooming roses, Alexander felt something he had not felt in years. Peace. Because this time, no crown stood between them. And when she finally reached him, he took her hand and never let it go again. If you enjoyed this royal love story, don't forget to subscribe for more emotional palace dramas filled with heartbreak, sacrifice, and unforgettable second chances.